I'll admit a fair degree of fascination with this. The article I thought was really very interesting, and what's unclear to me is exactly what kind of moonshine these guys are going to be making. And I say that, in all kindness. Legacy Distilling, you guys exist because of a law that was passed in this state, last spring. Is that right? Welcome, by the way, to Ron Gomes and Mike Rasmussen, who are the guys behind Legacy. Is that right?
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Yep. We worked very closely with actually the folks from Dogfish Head and made sure we got a great law passed last April that allows us to legally set up and run a micro distillery here in Delaware.
Okay, now it's unclear from the article as to exactly what kind of spirits you'll be distilling, whether it's vodka, gin, scotch, bourbon, rye. What are you looking at?
Well, our passion lies with spirits that rest in a barrel. So that would be whiskeys, ryes, bourbons, brandies. But out of the gate, we'll bring to market vodkas and gins, white spirits.
Why would that be? Do they get to the market more quickly?
Exactly.
All right. So how much time is involved in getting a decent whiskey to market?
There's a lot of thinking about that. The big guys, Brown Formans of the world, they'll let their whiskey sit for 8, 12 years. Some of the little craft distilleries, people similar to us around the country have found some interesting ways to use smaller barrels to bring product to market faster. Certainly different whiskey, but ultimately you can put a whiskey on the market in a year or two that has a lot of really interesting character.
Well, Mike, it seems to me, though, that if you bring it to market, my experience, I'm a Scotch drinker. My experience, the difference between a 4-year-old Scotch and an 18-year-old Scotch is, one is really harsh and the other is like drinking velvet. Don't you run into that? I mean, you bring it to market too quickly, you're going to have a pretty harsh booze out there, aren't you?
Absolutely. You want to make sure that you control the process as much as you can. Actually, one of the great things about the size that we're working with is that we get to be so hands-on in the production process, and we can be so tight on what they call the cuts, really just keeping the best part of the distillate, that we can just out of the gate produce something that's already a lot smoother and a lot kind of easier to drink than many of the big companies start with. So that can cut down on our aging time. But, of course, nothing makes up for some time in the barrel.
But the size of the barrel, you say, is kind of key in being able to bring a smooth Scotch or a bourbon or a rye to market rather than a larger barrel. Why is that?
Well, it's not just the size. So what we're looking at the molecular levels is interaction. So with our product, our liquid essentially that's in the barrel, with the wood that's in the barrel at the molecular level. You're really interested in interactions that would produce esters and other molecules that contribute to a nice flavor profile. So the environment, how humid it is, how hot it is, how cold it is, that expansion contraction of the barrel helps facilitate those molecular interactions that are so important in developing a really nice taste profile in your product.
Okay, Ron, you were pumped about this particular building, the building you're in Smyrna. Why?
Absolutely. Well, the building, which is a 1940s era movie theater, it's 6,300 square feet is its footprint, and it will encompass not only our production area, but offer an ample venue for us to showcase our products in terms of a tasting bar.
Oh, great.
We'll be able to host small musical acts as well as feature local artists, I should say, host charity events.
Well, kind of like a micro pub then.
Yeah,
but
without food.
With spirits, without food.
Without food.
Okay,
sure.
Well, you guys hang around because I have more questions about why you got into this and what do you see happening 10 years from now. Will you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another conversation next half hour on this. All right, they're with us are Mike Rasmussen and Ron Gomes, who are the guys behind Legacy Distilling. If you didn't see the article, we'll post a link to it so you guys can check it out. What a fascinating new process, man, and what a good use of an old movie theater. Because it's either that or turn it into a Kmart. And for me, personally, I've been going with a good rye. If you just joined us at around 5:30, let me give you 2 seconds of background. There's a brand new distillery, which will be the first distillery in the first state, I think, since probably prior to Prohibition, because the law was passed just this past spring to allow it. With us right now are the guys who are running this thing, Mike Rasmussen and Ron Gomes. Mike, am I right on that? I mean, has it been that long?
So there has been one small distillery that's been done under the brew pub law, but there's never been the ability to actually have a standalone distillery in the state since before Prohibition.
Yeah, so I mean, most of us weren't around then. Rather obviously,
not.
You know, I got to ask you guys. To me, that's a fascinating business, and it's interesting. The law was passed, and you guys were Johnny on the spot. As a matter of fact, you helped to craft the law to make sure that you were allowed to make your business work.
Absolutely.
Right now, you have a limit on how much you can produce. How much?
750,000 proof gallons.
What does that mean?
That's 750,000 gallons of 50% of like 100 proof.
100 proof. Yeah,
it's a lot.
You won't actually be pumping out much 100 proof liquor, will you?
No.
Yeah, I just saying, Rod, you do want me to be able to stand after one drink, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yep. But in reality, I mean, that gives us the flexibility to grow, which is what we really wanted in the law, was the ability to create spirits, market spirits, and grow to hopefully build a really successful company here in Delaware.
And now, if you had the one spirit, in other words, if Ron, if you said, this is the one thing that I really want to make, which would it be? Would it be a rye, a bourbon, a Canadian, a vodka, gin? Which would it be?
Yeah, my passion, contrast to Mike's, is gin. Actually, pre-prohibition style gin. So barrel-aged gin, really complex botanicals, very floral, something that would harken back to maybe a Dutch style. Is
there anything on the market similar to that right now?
There are very few products like that on the market.
So that's something that would be a pretty much a banner product for you to be able to do.
It would be unique, yes.
And Mike, what about you?
I'm a bit of a whiskey guy, so some of that high proof rye whiskey would be something I would love to have.
Okay, now I got to pass this along because I do think this is funny. We were joking going into the first conversation about, I've been watching moonshiners, so I'm well versed on exactly how this business works, and that's not the case at all. This is, quite a different kind of operation. But Ron, you say this is a passion of yours too. You're recording it right now on the DVR at home, right?
Absolutely.
It's quite a show, man.
I'm very curious to see how Tickle makes out going legal.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen this show, I still don't. I'm not quite sure what's going through a moonshiner's brain when he says, yes, you can follow me around while I do these illegal things on other people's property, and it'll all work out okay in the end. So, to me, I've just watched that, and I also think, well, there's if curious, only part of it is being done in West Virginia. Just some of it. It's all through the Appalachians, but it's a fascinating little show. Well, it's a fascinating business. You guys, thank you so much for taking the time to come in, and good luck, man. I think it's great that we have this kind of business startup here in Delaware. I really do.
Great. Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
And when will you be able to have your first spirits on the market? Because I want to be there for this.
We're shooting for a grand opening in May.
All right, good. We can maybe do something with that. All right, we'll talk about that. That'd be great. I'd love to be involved in that. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike and Ron, thanks very much. Legacy Distilling, Smyrna, the old Smyrna movie theater down there, right? All right.
Yep, that's right.
Quite a good show, man. Thanks.